Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Mark and this is Mark's Coding Projects. On this channel, I will be showing you guys the projects that I am building in order to build myself a programming portfolio. In today's video, I will be reorganizing some of the code. So I've been having a little think about where we want to take the project next, and the next function or the next functionality that we need to develop is the removal of client connections, both in our connections list and in our text file. There are a few different reasons for this. We may need to update the text file due to people winning the game. Likewise with the list. We also need to update the list due to clients disconnecting randomly during a game or disconnecting while they are waiting for a game. So this is going to be quite a challenge. So there's going to be lots of different components that we need to build. But I think the first thing that we can do is we can make life easy for ourselves and we can improve what we've already got. So for example, our writeConnection method has this little section in it where we load up the contents of the connections text file. Now that functionality I feel is pretty generic, and I think it could be used by multiple methods within our project. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to copy and paste this code into a new method. So I'm going to have a private method. It's going to be static, just like writeConnection is. So we've got a private static method. It's going to return a list, and that is because we are building a list of all of the connections in our connections text file. So once we've built that, we will then return that data to whoever it is that called the method, and I'm just going to name it load text file. I'm then going to copy and paste the code. I'm going to surround it with a try catch. So exception E, and then we'll do a print stack trace, because I've learned the hard way that is really useful to have. This connections refers to our global connection container list, which is not what we want. So we are going to create a local list variable called connections, and that is what our text from our text file will be written to. Is that spelled right? No, it isn't. Connections. Cool. Equals new array list. And I did the brackets twice. Cool. Okay, so now that that's all up and running, all we need to do now is return that value, and that's that method built. So really simple. It's really easy to implement now that we've built it. All we need to do is, if we go up to the top and we delete this line, and we instead call load text file. So there we go. There is no change here. Well, once I've got rid of this code, there is no change. There we go. Cool. So that will now operate as before. It's just the code has been moved. The reason why I'm starting on this method is because I think it's kind of confusing. So like that first section here, load text file, that we deleted, that was kind of like a subroutine in of itself. It had, I mean, obviously you needed the array list to be used in order to implement these other processes. However, it is a standalone process, and therefore it should be split into a different method. And actually, I think a lot of these, each of these, well, maybe these two are similar, but certainly this second for loop and this if statement don't really relate to our first statement, our first for loop, sorry. And so I think what would be better is if those were split into smaller, and split up into different methods, so that the code is more, what's the word? It's more well organized. I think that would be the best way of describing it. So I was going to move this code, but I think since these are all related, I'm instead going to move this. I'm going to create a new method which just runs this for loop. And what I'll do is I'll just call that method where this for loop used to be. Now, again, it's not going to do any, it's going to make any improvements to the code in terms of how well it runs or anything. It'll probably make it slightly slower, but certainly from a developer standpoint, it makes things a lot easier to manage. So I'm going to make another method. It's going to be void for now, but I think I'm going to change that. I'm going to call it check for opponent. I think I'm probably going to have to pass it a list. We're going to call it connections. We're going to surround it by a try catch. E dot stack trace. Nice. Now all we need to do is copy and paste this in. Oh yes. Okay, there's one more thing that we need to do is we need to pass it a string called client IP. Okay, they have return types. So in that case, we will change this to a string. So if for some reason this code fails, the code wouldn't have had anything to return. So we've built that return type. Sorry, we've built that return string. So now if the file writer, is the file writer? Do we even need a try catch? Let me delete it and see, because I might be making this up. We might not actually need a try catch statement here. Oh, no, we don't. Oh, fantastic. Okay, that saves me having to put that in. Oh, it doesn't. Why doesn't it? Oh, okay, it's just because in the event that... Yeah, okay, so that's because there's no else statement. So I can put an else statement. No, that's not right. Okay, so basically there's a chance that we loop through and we never find a connection with a space in it, i.e. two connections in the same, two IPs in the same line. And because of that, we need to have this return down the bottom. I did try putting an else statement matching this if statement, but it didn't make a lot of sense. So I think this is the best way of doing things. So there we go. We're then going to write a string. For some reason, the wheel on my mouse is really bad and it always scrolls back up, which is very, very annoying. Okay, so we're going to make a string and we're going to call it opponent IP. We're going to set it equal to check for opponent, and we are going to pass it connections, and we're going to pass it client IP. Cool. So now, yeah, this method now, to me at least, it looks a hell of a lot cleaner. So if you look, the you know, two chunks have now been put into different methods, and we now just have what to do if we find a single connection in the text file, and we have what to do if there is no single connection in the text file, and that is it. Which yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Okay, so the next thing that I think is worth doing is we can build a delete connection. So our delete connection method, what it's going to do is it's going to load a text file. See, there is method to my madness. So we have this function and we can pull all of the data from the text file really easily. So there's no faffing on with that reader and writer anymore. The next thing that we want to do in this file is we want to update our connections text list, connections text file in the event that a game is completed. So I think the first thing that we need to do is we need to make a new file, and it's going to be called connections.text. Does that match? Yeah. Okay, so we have our file, and I think what I want to do is I want to delete it. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete the file. We're going to reconfigure our array, and then we're going to rewrite the array to our text file. I think it probably makes more sense if we reconfigure the array first, because there's less time when we don't have a text file. I think that's good. So the less time there is, the better. Because obviously, say the server goes down on this line, not good, not good at all. So we want to minimize the chances of that happening. So we need to leave the file up for as long as possible and just kill it at the apps, like as quickly as we can, kill it and then rewrite it. So we need to configure the data that we'll be rewriting to it as fast as possible. So what are we going to do? That's a great question. Okay. We're going to take a string for this method. We're going to call it client IP. We're then going to create a string called opponent IP, and we're going to just rip off our check for opponent method. Nice. So we now have two strings. Actually, do we need them? No, we don't. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to make a for loop. We're going to make a for loop, and it's going to loop through our connections list. So x is less than connections dot size x plus plus. Okay, so we have our for loop, and all it's going to do is it's going to loop through and say if our connections get x. So this is the string. This is an a connection container object. So if this string contains client IP, we want to remove that string from our list. So we do connections dot remove x. Okay, so in theory, this will remove the. Okay, so we've removed the connections text, the connection from the text file. Sorry, no, we've removed the connection from the array list. But now we need to remove it from. Well, no, we're not going to remove it. What we're going to do is we're going to take our array, and under here we are going to build a writer. Okay, so we now have a second for loop. I'm just going to copy and paste this. Control C. So we've built a new file. All we're going to do is we are going to write connections.getX. Why are you upset? Because you're not going to try catch. Okay, so a couple of things. f.delete is equal, it returns a boolean. So what we want to do with that is we want to say, okay, if deleted, then rewrite the file, because it may fail to delete. So we will wrap that. If it fails to delete, then we will say so. But apart from that, yeah, I'm pretty happy. So the point of this method is we load up the text file into a list. We match our IP, client IP, to a line in the text file. We then remove that line from the text file. We clear the file and then we rewrite the new array list to the text file so that the data is then saved. So that's everything for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do like, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys back here for the next one.